All right. So financial literacy is the foundation of economic empowerment and sustainable development. Financial literacy, ladies and gentlemen, also enables us as individuals to be able to make informed financial decisions. It also gives us the leverage and the wisdom to manage our resources effectively at different levels. But most importantly, financial literacy is what enables us to contribute effectively to the overall economic well being of a nation. The name is Wenson Mavoro, and welcome to the Financial Literacy webinar being hosted by the Lusaka Securities Exchange PLC. Now, I am joined by wonderful discussants that I'm eager to get into conversations with because these are not just ordinary individuals or human beings. They are financial literacy champions that I've gotten to know who are doing an amazing and tremendous job within the financial literacy space. So, to start with, I'd like to welcome and introduce Kenneth Passy from the IT department here at the Lusaka Securities Exchange. Passy, welcome.
Thank you very much, Winston. Happy
All
to be here.
right. Okay, so another one is an interesting human being, a wonderful friend of mine. This is no other than Lina Lungu. You're welcome, all the way from the Business Development Department.
Thank you so much, Winston. It's good to be here.
Okay. So another interesting human being that I have here, it's always important to have legal on your side. You never know what happens. So to have backup, you need legal. So I'm joined by Sherry Maponga, all the way from the legal department. Sherry, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Winston. Thank you so much. I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah, okay. Another interesting individual is Philip Ankalamo, who is with us this morning, all the way from the finance department. Philip, welcome. It's great to have you.
Thank you, Mr. Mavoro. Good morning.
Okay. And last but not the least is Mr. Peter Mwepu from the Lusaka Clearing and Settlement Agency. Peter, welcome. And I know some people will be wondering when they see Mwepu, are you related to Mwepu, the footballer, in any way?
Thank you, Wedson. Not really, but we could come from the same village. So probably that's where the relationship might be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And guys, it's great to have you this morning. And I can't wait for us to just delve into our conversation, which will be bordering on financial literacy. And interestingly, our discussion will be anchored this morning on the theme Think Before You Follow, Safeguard Your Money. Now, this theme is not only concise, but I believe it is very timely looking at what we've seen occur within the financial space, in the last years or so. And to start, I will take the spotlight on in fact, when I was doing the introductions, I started with the men. But to start the conversation, we'll start with the ladies because we know they have the wisdom. Okay. So, Lina, let me shine the spotlight on you as we start the conversation. Just help us unpack this important theme that is dominating our conversation this morning.
Thanks, Winston. So I think it's really important for us to look through this theme and think through it so well. I thought that, back in the day when we were younger, and I know a lot of the team here would resonate with it. When we were younger, things were a lot easier. There wasn't so much in terms of technology. We didn't have so much access to information. But nowadays, it's completely different. What we do have is that there are a lot of people who have got access to information, and thankfully through the internet. And I think that's a great thing. There's so many ways in which we have access to information today. It's been made easier. But what comes with this is now, obviously, not everybody around us has got the best interest in mind. We've got so many things which impair that. So in terms of financial literacy, what you'll find is that there's so much information on the topic. But, they might not all be the best information. It might not be the true information. It might not be accurate information. So it's important now we need to think through how we're going to make these decisions, think through how we're going to safeguard our money, because there's so many scammers, there's so many people around who don't intend for our best interests. They want to gain from us in malicious ways. So what we are seeing here is that we need to understand not only, okay, this is what we have, these are instruments you can invest in. Okay, there's all sorts of things everywhere, but are these the best for us? We need to be wise, we need to use our minds. We also need to know where there's reliable information, reliable advice. So this theme is so important for our day and age, not just globally, but also in the Zambian context. I hope I'm not the only one, but there've been scammers everywhere. I don't know if it's on your phones where you've received messages, it's been on your, wherever it is, you've received messages and you say, is this information true? Is it credible? Is it something I can use? So we all need to know how we can sort of mitigate that. How do we find accurate information? How do we find true information? And how do we make wise investment decisions in this case? So I would say that's the way we're unpacking the theme this year. There's so much out there, but where is the accurate information? Where's the clear information? And we're going to sort of touch on some of the things as to how we can do that. Thanks, Wilson.
You've mentioned something very, very important, especially when we're talking, while on this, you've talked about the issue of accurate information being a prerequisite to making wise investments. Now, the question then would be, where do you make these wise investments? Bringing us to the issue of the stock market, of course, as one of those important and safest options. So before I get into my other discussants, just help us again, just to understand, or give us an overview of the stock market.
Sure, and I think that's the first step in terms of understanding, making your wise decisions. So, you have started off, okay, I want to invest, I want to do this. Okay, but I need to clear out all the information which is not helpful for me. So what you do is you start off by saying, okay, but what is the stock market? And so very simply put, the Lusaka Securities Exchange, as we are known today, is a platform where financial instruments are traded. Typically, these instruments are long-term instruments which are traded on the platform. We talk of shares, we talk of bonds. Those are the instruments which are traded on this platform. And people, individuals, institutions have the opportunity to buy and sell these particular instruments on our market. So that's what the exchange does. And it's even in the name, exchange is exchange of securities or financial instruments on this platform. So I want to buy and sell shares. We'll find buyers and sellers on this platform. We'll find financial intermediaries on this platform, all in an effort to make sure that we are trading or transacting in these financial instruments. Again, these for investment purposes. We want to grow our wealth. We want to secure our future. Those are a lot of terms that you've heard. We use the platform. We use the Lusaka Securities Exchange. So in essence, at a very basic level, that's what it is. Don't complicate it. Don't think too hard. A lot of people say, no, it's complex. The jargon is so hard. But really, at a basic level, that's the Lusaka Stock Exchange, the platform where financial instruments are traded. That's it.
Okay, I love the fact that you mentioned something that it's very simple, because oftentimes we mistake the stock market to be this important, complicated machinery that requires you to have the knowledge that probably a hacker has to have to be able to participate in. But thank you very much, Lina, for just simplifying it for us and making sure that it is a place that is very interactive and easy to work with. Obviously, one of the things that one would want to know after learning that the stock market is actually user-friendly, it is a platform that anybody who wants to can actually utilize opportunities therein and be able to change the fortunes of their investments. The critical question then is, in what ways can one participate in the stock market to contribute to the financial well-being and future security of individuals, particularly the young adults that are trying to explore these various investment opportunities that are found on the stock market?
Well, simply put, it's an opportunity for young people and all investors to generate wealth. So investing in the stock market is a way that they can diversify their portfolio so as to avoid the risk of relying on only one income stream. So the stock market provides an opportunity for them to invest their money and see their investments grow. And the beauty of it is for young adults is they have time on their side. So the approach that they will take to investing is that they would they have the view of the medium to long term view of investing. So when they invest, when they put that money aside, they have that luxury of time. So they're able to sit down to see their stocks grow long term. And even if there could be some fluctuations in the market, they have that benefit of playing the long game. So it's really a way of diversifying their investment portfolio.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, interesting there. Let me now move on to obviously one other avenue that is very important when you look at the times that we're in is the issue of technology. And I think, Lina, you did allude to this important aspect, looking at the times that we're currently living in. So obviously, this question then brings us to no other than Mr. Kenneth Passy, all the way from the IT department. It is very, very important that we also just get an insight in terms of how can one make learning about and potentially participating in the stock market more accessible and engaging for all age groups. I mean, we've got phones, we've got all these gadgets that we can use to be able to, participate on the stock market. So how can we do that? How can we leverage on the digital platforms and the technologies that we have at our disposal?
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Winston, for that question. Yeah, it's important, as Alina alluded to earlier, and the way you've asked it, how do we learn and leverage on technology? I think most of our young participants of tech survey area, and obviously the LUCE are aware to the fact that we've got potential clients out there that would want to leverage on technology, and as the result, the LUCE is actually looking into deploying the LUCE e-learning platform. I think it's been talked about in the past, and I think from the IT side and from the LUCE at large, we intend to actually give this information to interested parties, interested in investors, and not be investors to also just have that access to a free course, and also probably some will be paid, but definitely just give out the information that for the most part investors are lacking out there. So we'll leverage on that technology to ensure that we've got a lot of awareness around the stock market and also a lot of participation coming through as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Sherry, let me come to you. Obviously, there are so many institutions that are involved in creating an environment where people can have opportunities to learn more about the stock market and explore opportunities on the stock market. What role can the financial institutions and regulators play in creating a safe and education environment for people interested in exploring the stock market, which we've been told is safe and has got some great opportunities?
Thank you, Winston. One thing that I should highlight from the get-go is that you will notice one thing about the financial sector as well as the capital markets. Those are heavily regulated. We have heavy reporting lines. Our listed companies are heavily regulated. Their requirements, disclosure requirements, are very comprehensive to ensure that the shareholder is getting value for their money. They're getting all the information that they need to make an informed decision. So I think what the financial sector would then do, and the regulators as well, is while they continue to regulate, one of the key things I think is imposing penalties, because I think we have a rampant number of people that have gone out there and are trying to scam people, and there's all sorts of all sorts of technologies, all sorts of ideas on how people could make money, and a number of people have had their funds synced. So I think it's I think we could consider implementing legislation that could impose stiffer penalties on some of these pyramid schemes, and yeah, some of these funny things going around. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Let me now move to Peter Mwepu. Obviously, one of the things that, I mean, I, for one, I'm an example that used to have quite a lot of misconceptions when it comes to the stock market itself. You know, I used to think, you know, the stock market is for bougie people, it's for the upper mambas, you know, it's for people that, you know, knew the language that people speak in those circles. Therefore, us, you know, in the quas of these societies cannot really take part in the stock market. So, what are some of the common misconceptions that people have about the stock market, and how can we address them with accurate information? And why is accurate information actually very, very important?
Thank you, Wenson. You're not the only one that has that misconception. I think personally, when I heard of the stock market, what used to come to my mind is what I would see on these international media outlets like CNN, where you see these people with these big screens and putting on these fancy jackets, and they are busy shouting and talking to one another. You don't know what they're talking about. So that misconception, yes, is there. But basically, yes, that's a market that you see, but of course, more advanced. So that's the idea that some people have, that a stock market is just where people meet and shout at one another. But like has been mentioned by my colleagues, especially Lina, the stock market is just basically an avenue that allows you to buy and sell financial instruments. That is, in simple terms, what a stock market is. But of course, there are those misconceptions that are there. Others have this misconception, like you've mentioned, to say only people that are rich, people that have the money, those are the people that can participate in the stock market. But that is not true per se. Now, how do we address this misinformation? Well, I think for one thing is just doing your research. All of us, like you've mentioned, we all have gadgets. We all have phones. We all have, we know all what Google is. So just putting in that word, it will give you a definition. And of course, if it's wanting to find out or having more information as to what Luce is all about, one can always put in that in the search bar. And of course, the correct, it will take you to our website where you can find correct information about us. And of course, obviously, one can try and locate us and say, where is Luce? Where is the stock market? And of course, we've got an address where we are found, and one can easily walk in and find out, what does Luce do? What are we all about? And I can tell you that a couple of people have done that. They've come through to our premises, trying to find out who we are and what we do. And we've explained to them that indeed we're just a platform that allows people to find an avenue to invest their funds in, be it in stocks or in other financial instruments like bonds. So basically, that's how people can get accurate information about the stock market.
I think maybe also just to add, Peter's done a good job of telling us, you know, it's a click away in terms of information. As I mentioned earlier, information is so accessible. And I think it's one of the bigger things. I mean, if you want easier information and more accurate, go to genuine platforms or the entity itself. So we think of, I'm trying to think of like our website. If you go directly to our website, we're going to give you the accurate information because we are the institution who deals with such. So it's easier to come to us. It's easier to go to registered brokers, those who are registered by our regulators and ourselves for that information. Once you start going outside of those, that information may not be accurate. You won't have the the support to say, this is accurate information which is out there. And I know legal, as she mentioned, it's such a big deal in terms of making sure that all this information, the players who are in the market, are regulated by our regulator, the Securities and Exchange Commission, but also the brokers ourselves. Make sure that they are regulated and they are kept and they are also in check. So go to genuine entities. Go to our website, come to us, speak to a Luce representative, staff member. They will help guide and assist.
Okay, so while you're at it, Lina, obviously people would want to know, what kind of steps can they take? A person right now that is watching us, listening to us right now, following this conversation, would want to know. And I love the word that you use strategically when we're starting this conversation, investing wisely. What steps do they need to take to invest wisely on the stock market? And when you say we think through the process or we follow the process, how can I think through the process?
So I think with that particular one, it's a loaded question. One of the things that we always say in terms of whenever we're telling people doing your research, step by step. I preempted my answer a little bit there, but go to people who are genuine. Just vet them in terms of, okay, let me start from Luce. I want to know more about Luce. I will go to Luce accredited people, Luce regulated entities. Though that's your first point of reference. If you start going to a friend of a friend who knew a friend and whose friend's uncle knows somebody whose uncle's uncle, the train becomes obscure. And what happens is that you may not get the information that you need, or you might get tainted information that's not accurate. And those who are beginning to know and understand the stock market know that the information which we give has to be accurate, because these are investment decisions that you're going to make, right? And it has an impact on your investment. So you have to make sure that you go to Luce registered brokers. One point, they are listed on our website. You can get in touch with them. They will give you information and data that is in line with the Luce. You can come to the Luce itself website. If not, as mentioned, we've also got a WhatsApp number which you can go through. You can contact us and ask questions on that platform. 3, make sure if all else being, we've also got a regulator as the Luce, as an exchange, we have to be regulated by someone. And we are regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission, and they regulate capital markets in Zambia. So there are many points which you can go to in terms of getting this accurate information. There are so many, I can't even count, and I think even my colleagues have seen it. They can nod if they agree. Is that we have seen so many people come and just say, oh, I invested in this agricultural what, and you already put your money in there. And what you'll find is that the money, they've already eaten your money, but because they're not regulated, it's very difficult for us to say, oh, let's help you get back your money. You have to go to the police and so forth and so forth. But you invested on the basis that, oh, I want to invest and I want to receive 10 million times the return. If a return is too good to be true, something's funny here. All right. So when you hear returns like, oh, I'll give you a 10 kwacha, and then a week from now, I'm going to give you 50,000 kwacha, it's unlikely, right? So it sounds too good to be true. It probably is too good to be true, right? So be mindful in terms of taking those steps. So think through it. Don't be hasty to make these decisions. Think through it. Ask the relevant people, and then afterwards you can then make the decision to invest. So that's what I would say in terms of people taking. These are the steps. These are step-by-steps you can take in order to make sure that your decision is informed.
Lina, I love the fact that you've mentioned the word if it's too good to be true, then you're the right. Just an observation, scammers are also evolving, on a daily basis. And one of the things that they're using definitely just to woo people is, this social status. They'll be taking pictures with cars, they'll be going to fancy restaurants, they'll be doing all these things, showing you stacks of money, some of which they borrow, just building on what Lena was saying, if it's too good to be true, you know, and some of the funny stories that we've heard about this scammers, that some of them actually go to borrow people's money, take pictures with people's money, and then return that money, because at the end of the day, the goal is just to scam you. So if it's too good to be true, like Lena said, hey, be careful. Sherry, let me come to you. After we've been exposed to the information, after we've visited these institutions that have addresses, as advised earlier on, and after we've done what one would consider due diligence, the critical question then is, how do I verify the information that this is true? If I come to Luce and Lena takes me through the process, she tells me what I need to do, what I don't need to do, or where I can go, how do I get to verify information about Luce that yes, this is true?
Thank you very much, Wenzel. That's actually a very important question. We've had a number of people that have come forward and say, look, I don't know what's happening here. I don't know when the AGM is. I don't know how then do I get my information? So one of the official communication lines that we use as an exchange is called SENS. So it's the stock exchange news. So ideally, how you would have access to SENS is by subscribing to the email list. So that is our official communication. That is where the financials go out. That is where your changes in directorate for all companies go out. That is where all announcements from listed companies in which shareholders have their shares go out. So any other pages that you will see, I've noticed that there's a number of them on Facebook. We do have an official Facebook page as the Luce, but I think I've seen a number of individuals that have equally opened pages and will be posting all kinds of stuff. But the official page where you will get your financials, your dividend announcements, and as well as your changes in directorate is the stock exchange news. Thank you.
Let me now turn our attention to Philip. Obviously, people have the confidence in working with institutions that are credible, like Luce itself. And one then would want to know how we can ensure that the opportunities and the potential risks of the stock market are communicated effectively and responsibly to the young people as they begin this journey. And in fact, I feel this question is also important to those people that may take on the responsibility to be able to play this important role in the journey of financial literacy, to communicate effectively to people that are looking to seize opportunities on the stock market.
Thank you very much, Winston. I think the best way, as my colleagues have alluded to, is to educate people. And for young ones, it's to start early, to start educating them as early as possible. And as an institution, the Luce, we have taken the initiative to achieve this goal.
Just kindly speak up a little bit, Philip.
Sorry, Winston. Can you hear me now? It's good. Sure. So I was saying that the best way, as my colleagues have alluded to, is to educate people early, to educate them, potential investors. And for our young ones is to start teaching them early. And that's the position we have taken as an institution, as the Luce. We want to achieve this goal, to educate as many people as possible so that they make informed decisions. Because if you go out there and you ask people about the stock market, they will tell you that they fear investing because they simply do not understand it. So that's why, as the Luce, we have made it as a goal. We want to educate as many people as possible to bridge this gap so that they too can become players in the market. For example, just this year, we launched our Teach 1,000 Learners campaign, where we've already been to one school and one university, and we'll continue to have such campaigns going forward. And to protect them from the potential risks, we are educating investors to be mindful of the things that they see on social media, as my colleagues have already alluded to. So on social media is flooded with many false information that promotes risky and unrealistic get-rich-quick schemes. So as Lena said, if it's too good to be true, it probably is a lie. So as an exchange, as well as other regulators and financial institutions, we are working together to educate the public, to make that deliberate effort to spread as much information as there so that we can help investors to safeguard their money first and foremost, so that they can avoid being scammed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that wonderful response. Kenneth, let me come to you. You know, there's a famous quote I love from the good book, the Bible, which says, "You shall know them by their fruit." And one then would want to know, digital scammers are everywhere. How do I identify one when it comes to capital markets?
Yeah, thank you, Winston. Yeah, that's a good quote. The fruits of scammers, I think. Firstly, I also just reemphasize what most of my colleagues have mentioned. Too good to be true kind of information. You know, that also it just gives it away. And like Lena mentioned, you always have to verify information with the LUCE. Like also our legal sharing mission to say, see, we send out this information through the things. Most of the information that we publish will be on the website and also on our official Facebook page, right? Where you are watching, where our viewers are watching this from is the official Facebook page. Otherwise, it's not our page, right? Obviously, we are alive to the fact that somebody was going to use the LUCE, there are LUCE groups, you know, we are alive to the fact that not only on Facebook, but on other social media platforms, people are going to kind of impersonate the organization, right? So we have to be very careful with the information that we're receiving, verify the information. Once again, we've got the LUCE website. Our LUCE website is an https://luce.co.zm. Anything that is cloned and mimics the LUCE website is actually not, it's a scam. You just have to be aware and alert to it. Whether it's using our LUCE colors, whether you know, it's using our names as part of the LUCE employees and staffs. We just have to be alive to the fact that there are a lot of people that are going to, you know, impersonate me. It can be Philip, you know, and the scammers are very clever, so they're going to use different means. We also have to be alive to our regulators, like Sherry mentioned, the brokers that are regulated, right? How do we know our regulated brokers? If somebody comes to you to say, look, there's this offer, you are learning something from someone, ask them, are you certified by SEC? SEC certifies brokers, right? If the person is going to be a broker, they're going to be certified by SEC, right? How do you know the brokers that are actually legit, right? All the brokers are listed on our website. So yeah, I'll just find time, browse through our website, see, you know, the certified brokers that you can actually deal with, right? Anything other than that, you have to take extra caution. In fact, I would encourage not to deal with anything other than what the LUCE has actually listed on the site, right? Then the LUCE we don't promote any company. Like Lena said, we're just an exchange, you know, we just provide the market. So obviously some of us might have received emails to say, you know, this is coming from the LUCE, invest into this company, invest into this company, you know, just be aware, because most of those are just phishing emails. So the LUCE is not going to entice anybody to buy any stock at whatever enticing price, right? The official prices, again, are posted, a bit of highs and lows are posted on our Facebook page, but the trade summary report is posted on our website. So you can have sight to the trade summary report on our website. Authentic figures are there. So anything other than that, you know that, okay, this is not right, right? So you're going to identify scammers by misinformation, how hurry they will be in getting you to invest, how hurry they will be in getting you to, send them money. Yeah, I would also just want to mention, to say, look, if it's not, if you have any doubts, call the LUCE. I think the LUCE numbers are available to the public. Call the LUCE and just confirm, to say, look, there is this in the public. Is it truly you? Right? We're a regulated body, like Lina mentioned, so we are according to the law. And anything other than that, please just be very careful and invest wisely. Like our theme mentions, the theme is talking about to say, sorry, I just have to open it to get the right weight of it. It says, think before you follow, right? So the links that you get, maybe it's on messages, phishing emails, think before you follow that link. Think before you follow that scammer, right? Think before you follow any person that is enticing you to do otherwise, or even get a good offer to you. Thank you very much, Winston. I hope I've answered the question.
Exactly, you've done justice to the question, sir. Let me now bring in Peter. One of the things, with emphasis, Peter, being prevalent nowadays on the issue of investing in bonds and buying shares, the critical concern, which is genuine, that many people may have is, how are my shares and bonds protected? Am I safeguarded and protected on the LUCE through the law if I follow through with my decision to be able to invest in bonds or buy shares? Let me start with you, Peter.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Winston. So maybe to answer your question, let me start off by answering it with an example, an illustration. When you go to a shop or any other outlet to buy something, there's always an exchange that takes place. So you leave your money, you go out with the merchandise. It doesn't occur that when you go in the shop, you leave your money and the merchandise remains, or the other way around, you leave with your money and the merchandise. There's always an exchange. So the point being is, when there's a transaction, something has to exchange hands. There has to be proof that somebody has bought something somewhere. So the same applies also to even the stock exchange. So basically, when you invest in these financial instruments, there has to be proof that shows that you've made an investment. So when you do so through the registered brokers, they'll give you proof to say you've invested in this particular entity, you've bought so much securities, or you've bought this particular bond. And obviously, there'll be proof that will be given to you in form of documentation to say, this is what you have in terms of your investments. Now, of course, there'll be times that you say, look, but this is not what I own, or what I bought is so much, or at this particular price. But there's this anomaly. Why? You may have those queries. And so this is why the exchange is able to give you that information through the broker. You are able to request for what is called a statement that is able to give you what you hold in terms of your investments. Just like a bank account, you are able to go to your bankers and say, I want to have my statement to show me a record of the transactions I've conducted. And if there's an anomaly, you are able to query. Same goes with us. So one is able to obtain a statement that shows what they hold in terms of their investments. And if they are not satisfied, they are able to query the exchange. And if still they feel, well, this does not add up, well, this is why we have the regulator now, the Securities and Exchange Commission, remember, that regulates how we conduct our business. So one can always go to them and actually seek redress, if I may put it that way. So all those are ways that ensure that your investments in terms of stocks, or is it bonds, are protected. If you feel what you've been given is not accurate, you can go to the regulator, and the regulator will come to us and say, look, there's this person, they invested so much, but why do we have this anomaly? So that is all to give you an assurance that indeed your investments or whatever it is that you've bought is actually safe.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Sherry, I would also like to get your thoughts on this particular one. And obviously, people are wondering, how are my shares, how are my bonds protected on the loose through the law?
Okay, thank you, Watson. One key thing, as I mentioned earlier, that is so important to us in the legal department is disclosure. So there's no company that is coming onto the exchange without explicitly disclosing what's going on in their company. So we have financial requirements that are supposed to be disclosed. We have the board, the leadership of the company. Every time that there's a change in that board, that is supposed to be disclosed. We equally require that when there's something going on in the company, if there's been a court case, if the company's securities are materially going to be affected, that has to be communicated. So shareholders at every point in time have to be notified of anything that is happening in their companies. So that is very key to ensure that the interests of such shareholders are actually protected. So to answer the question, if I buy shares, where's the guarantee that I'm going to be safe? Trust me, you're going to get all the disclosures. There's nothing that is done in the background. We see to it that every listed company is bringing forward all the information that shareholders need to make an informed decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sherry. And I love that response. It's not like there's something to hide. It's not like it's classified information. If it's genuine, it's transparent. It'll be in the open. Thank you very much, Sherry. I love that. These guys are very crafty. Somebody who told me a story of somebody who was telling them, look, this is a very good opportunity that you shouldn't share with so many people. Keep it to yourself. You need to make more money and things like that. So thank you. I like that response, Sherry. Lina, let me come to you. Obviously, we've, dealt with so much, how LUSE can protect our investments and, what needs to be done, some of the things that we need to look out for, how to identify the scammers and all these things. And it's very easy. Somebody can just put on a suit, speak very good English, and, pretend like they are from LUSE at the end of the day and be able to scam people in broad daylight. So, Lina, who are the correct people to speak to if one is interested in investing on the LUSE?
I keep shooting myself in the foot because I keep preempting my own my potential questions. But essentially, I think we've touched on it, but I think there's no harm in re-emphasizing because we do see this as a major problem where people go to people, as you're saying, nice English, tailored suits, everything coming to us and sweeping us off their feet with their nice English and nice suits when they're not genuine representatives of the exchange. So maybe layer number one would be, as I said, our regulator. Everybody in the capital markets is regulated, and you have that certified. So if you go to, for example, the Lusaka Securities Exchange ourselves, we have a certificate from the SEC saying that we are able to conduct the business of an exchange, and it's certified by SEC. That's one thing. Two, the brokers who transact or help assist transactions happening on the market by being market intermediaries, and they help listed companies come to the market to issue more shares. Those people as well also have to be licensed by the regulator. They will have licenses. So you either have a dealer's license or an investment advisor's license. That's another one. So those who are able to dispense genuine or true investment advice are going to have that license from the Securities and Exchange Commission, right? Anyone can tell you anything, like if they're not regulated or the like. If they're not employees of the LUSE, if they're not registered in terms of from the SEC, if they're not employees of the LUSE, for example, if they have a certificate saying that they're investment advisors, they can proceed to dispense investment advice, right? If they don't, it becomes very difficult for you to take their word as trustworthy or genuine, right? So, I mean, they may mean well, right? There are many of the people who mean well. But when it comes to the market, you need the clear, accurate information. And also, if they are to, so to say, swindle you or whatever the case is, I mean, where are you going to cry to? Like for me, if I say, oh, I talked to that person, they told me they'll do this and they're part of the loose and they said they'll buy shares on my behalf, shan. The first question we're going to ask is that, okay, were they licensed so that we can follow up and check with them or whatever the case is? If they are licensed, well and good, we now deal with the follow-up, and SEC and ourselves as Luce, if they're a broker, do the follow-ups, right? But if not, we don't know where to start. That's something which maybe we'll have to go to the police. I'm not sure legal have to back me. I don't know if that's the correct procedure, but they may have to go to the police to say, look, this person swindled me or whatever. But then the capital markets in and of ourselves, we'll have to say, look, these are some of the things that we do mention to say, make sure that they are registered. We are working overtime to make sure that even those who are not licensed, there are a lot of scammers, as mentioned, and I think my colleagues had mentioned this already, is to say that we are trying our very best to make sure that these other people who are not registered, it's made clear that we open up and say, no, those people are not with us. Yes, these are with us, or all those things are being put in place. And we'll never keep up. And I think that's the realization we also have to come to as a society. We will never keep up with the amount of scammers that are around. We will not, even if we have like a super team of people to cover that, we will never have enough. Scammers will keep increasing day by day, year by year. So for us, for people who are genuine, stick to the genuine and registered people. That's the easiest way in which we can prevent us falling to either scams or information that's not accurate. So our brokers, if you need to talk to people, our brokers, the Luce employees, Luce website, use those, or our regulators, the Securities and Exchange Commission. And your investment advisors, if you want to get advice on investment, they are listed on the Securities and Exchange Commission website for those who want to get information advice, whether on any capital markets instruments, that those are people who are listed on the Securities and Exchange Commission site. Please do make the time to go and read on those people. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Lena, for that wonderful response. And one thing I love is the honesty. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't come cleaner than the way Lena explained it. You know, keeping up with scammers is a whole lot of a job. And I mentioned earlier on, these guys are evolving, these guys are learning new techniques and everything. But the best security that you have is by listening to the advice that these experts on this panel are giving you, because that is the only defense that you have to be able to make sure that you stay ahead of these scammers. Kanso, I think Lena had cleverly tried to bring you into this. So let me just get your thoughts on this as well. You know, who are the right people to speak to? Your thoughts in terms of just ensuring that people, you know, develop that defense mechanism and go to the right people at the end of the day.
I always joke about the fact that Lena should probably be in our profession because I think she's given the answer. As Lena said, it's your registered brokers. So your registered brokers are regulated by the LUCE. Just to clarify Lena's answer, Lena will not tell you if you come to the LUCE what shares you'll be buying, which company is doing well, because she will be a conflicted party. The best person to give you that kind of advice is an investment advisor as well as a stockbroker. And these stockbrokers, as she mentioned, outlined on our website, so you can go to any of them, sit down with them, and they'll be able to provide investment advice. Yeah, not to belabor Lena's point, but really those are the people that you can go to. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that response. Peter, let me come to you. Obviously, one of the important questions that the people watching us right now have is, okay, you've given us the precautions, you've given us the know-how, you've told us what we need to look for, what we need to avoid, where we need to look. Those that are those that have already invested on the platform, what are some of the tips that you can give them on how to manage and grow their money? Because remember, they're there at the end of the day to make a profit and to grow their money. So Peter, let me start with you.
Yeah, thank you. Obviously, when one is making an investment, just as the word suggests itself, one is not looking at the short term per se, they are looking at the long term. And I think that's the whole purpose of making an investment. It's not something that you can easily make money out of or quickly gain money out of. And hence, I mean, why we're talking about this to being wary of scammers. So one of the tips that people need to have is that when you're investing in the stock market, you are basically looking to grow your wealth. Because remember, the whole point of these listed companies that have come to the stock market is they are there to raise capital. And obviously, in raising capital, what they are looking to do is to increase their profitability, make investments with the money that you've made. Remember, they're getting money from you, which in turn is going in their business, which they have to invest. And then by investing, they'll make more money out of it. So basically, what we are simply saying is that when you invest in the stock market, you need to look at the long-term view and say, look, when I invest in this particular company, I'm looking at this particular company growing from where it is so that by the time it gets bigger, it will be bigger in terms of its profitability, in terms of the assets and the liabilities that it has. Now, when you have that perspective, obviously that to you now is a gain to you as an investor, because remember when that happens, even the value of that company goes up. Now, when the value of that company goes up, that will also be reflected in its share price. So you stand to make what is called a capital gain. You will have bought a stock at a lower price, but by the time this company has grown in terms of size, in terms of profitability, its stock price will have gone up, meaning even the value of your share will have gone up. So maybe with 1,000 kwacha that you invested, by the time this company grows, you will have a 10,000, 15,000 kwacha over time. Why? Because of the value of the company, the value in terms of the value that this company has grown to. So one of the investment tips in short that I can say is when you're investing in the stock market, look at it from the long-term point of view. You are investing in something that will create value for not only the company itself, but also for yourself. So that's the tip that I can give to people out there. It's a long-term investment, basically. That's what I was.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me go to the man who handles the money. Okay, so obviously, Philip, people get excited, you invest money, you make some good returns, all of a sudden, one woman is not enough. You want to have the trophy for all the side chicks in Lusaka. You want to become the favorite for all the buddies everywhere. I won't say the names of the chill spots. I know Kanso is here. She was just doing, don't say, okay, Kanso, I won't say, but we know the chill spots. I mean, so Peter, what are your thoughts on this? How can we make sure that we manage the money properly and we grow it from your perspective?
Thank you. I think they have to have financial discipline. You have to be disciplined. Know why you are investing your money. Because when you started investing, you had a goal. So yes, you can enjoy your money, but be disciplined. That's what I would say. Be disciplined with your money. Know how to spend your money, and know that you have a goal. So my tip is for existing investors is to continue investing, make your returns, but have a plan for that money. Don't just go out and spend everything. Have a plan for that money, and that comes from financial discipline. You have to be disciplined.
On this one, let me also bring in Kenneth. you know how it is nowadays. We live in a world that is, it's very difficult to just keep stuff to yourself, good news to yourself. Once that message comes from Lucy, that pop up, that email, you've received your something, all of a sudden, quick fingers, people are on social media everywhere, and somebody told me, if you have it, flaunt it, show it, and people do all these kinds of things. From your perspective, you know, how should we manage our money, and how can we continuously grow it? And scammers are ever online checking who's showing their money, who's taking selfies everywhere because, I'm doing well on my investments, and people are just careless like that. How do we ensure that we manage our money and grow it safely?
All right. Thanks once again, Winston. Yeah. Like they famous say, to say people won't harm what they don't know, right? So I feel my personal
I
advice.
like that. I like that. Sorry. I like that. Say it again. Say it again.
Yeah. What people don't know, they won't harm, right? So yeah, you like my colleagues say, this is an investment. So your investment is mostly not for show off. Well, nothing wrong with those who would want to show off, but then you are making yourself a potential target for someone who wants to get money off you, right? So, well, I'm not going to go to scam Philip if I don't know if Philip has got money, right? If he looks poor, for example. But we've seen people who look poor, but they've got a lot of money. I don't know the relation between wealth and appearances, really. But then if you are showing off every time, scammers know to say, look, this is our potential target, and they'll start digging into you. Before you know it, your information is out there, and they want to blackmail you. They want to send you a lot of phishing emails. They'll try to hack your computers and your laptops and things like that. So yeah, it's an investment. I think the finance guys and the Elixir guys have really told us to say, look, it's a long-term thing, so we should treat it as such. Yeah. But then it's at the end of the day, it's a personal thing. But our advice would be, look, keep your investment silent, as silent as possible, with a few circle that you can trust, right? At the end of the day, it's your money, so it doesn't really matter whether people know or not. It's your investment. Maybe it's for your children, and depending on what your motive, why you are investing, right? You have to invest for a reason. So yeah, that's basically my take on that.
Okay, interesting. Lina, obviously, I'm not going to spare you on this one as well, because I want to I want to get your perspective. No offense to all hardworking women out there who are running their boutiques and everything on social media, fashion by Shan, glam by Shan, whatever, pedicure, nails, whatever. Once like something comes in, Lina, there's always this thing that people have. From your perspective, how can what are some of the tips that one can use to effectively manage and to effectively grow the money? Because you know very well, Lina, that once that money comes in, all of a sudden, Nishima tastes like, I don't know. Nishima starts tasting like impua. No offense to people that eat impua. You want the lobster, you want the crayfish, you want all these good things.
I think my colleagues will think you're targeting me because that's so me, though. It's so me because I like a good meal. It's so chaotic. I love a good meal. There's so many things which I enjoy, and I think there's nothing wrong with enjoying the things in life. Let me put it this way. I have had to employ a lot of financial, as Philip said, a lot of financial discipline in the way I do things. And in order for you to do this, in order for you to grow your wealth, and make the most of your investments, you have to employ a financial discipline. You can't do without it. Otherwise, what's the point of investing? You keep blowing your money all the time. So essentially, you have to put things in measure. So I'll give a personal example of myself. I love a good ice cream. Like, it sounds very petty and very small, but I love good quality ice cream, really. And usually it's not cheap. But then I have to measure myself to say, okay, great. There are certain things I want to achieve. How do I do it? The biggest thing for me, which has helped me, is accountability. Get people who hold you accountable. So get people who are close, not in your circle, not the whole world, of course, because that's not accountability. But get people who are in your circle who can tell you, madam, have you put aside this money? Or put it, oh, can you give it to a friend? Or can you, something like that, where they'll say, okay, I've got this, I'll hold it for you, or whatever the case is. Or have you put this money aside? Let me see. Have you moved the money into your savings account? Let me, that sort of thing. People are very close to you who can keep you accountable. So for me, if I can't afford my really nice ice cream that particular month, I'll have people say, it's tight. You can't buy the ice cream this month, right? If it's people in my household, if they see me bringing ice cream, where did this money come from? They'll sort of start helping you put those things in place. It sounds like a very small example, but it turns into bigger things. If it's a house, if it's a car, if it's there's so many things. So you have to employ those financial discipline sort of measures now before you start overspending. So I think it's so important. Again, excuse my very small example, but that's one which I thought was relatable to myself. And not only that, I think it can morph into a bigger thing. I just saying that ladies who have got businesses, I think it's a different story. You obviously have to promote yourself as a business, put yourself out there, well and good. But the tendency even for business holders is to say, when money comes in, instead of pumping it back into the business money, you go and start spoiling yourself. So you have to be disciplined. You've got to be, and I like the way Philip put it. You cannot do without financial discipline. It takes time, it takes information, as we've talked about, to do your research, but it also takes you actually I can know everything about the stock market. I can know, and it does absolutely nothing for me if I do not put it into practice or if I don't have that discipline. So the information which we're giving you today is not just for the sake, oh, that's nice. We know about the stock market. We know, yes. We have to put it into action. It's for the sake of ourselves, our sake of the society at large. They're going to be impacted by this. Your children's children are going to be impacted by what you're doing today. So I think it's very important. So that's my ice cream story.
Okay, thank you very much for that wonderful ice cream story, coming with a very key lesson on financial discipline. And like I said, I'm just loving some of the knowledge that you guys are offloading right now, which is very, very important. Simplistic, in the way that it's coming out, but very, very relatable and very, very important for each and every one of us to ensure that we do not only have an opportunity to be able to increase our financial portfolios, but at the same time, know how to protect our investments, manage them effectively, and at the same time, once in a while, do a little bit of some vanilla and strawberry, like Lina said there, But Kanso, let me get your thoughts on this one as well. I wasn't going to let you off the hook. You thought I was going to forget about you.
Thank you, Anson. And as you mentioned, I will pretend I'm not a lawyer and I'll tell you that I know the chill spots. Yeah, we all know the chill spots, and the money will be speaking to you whenever it comes in. The principle I use for my finances personally is that I like to look at our jobs, our sources of income, like this big tree, right? Where all of us have access to a certain amount of fruits. What you should be thinking about is I need to grow this seed so that I then have access to the fruits, even if my contract ended in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years, or when I'm 40 and I don't want to work, I should have grown a tree, right? So it's as little as getting a very small amount of money and putting it in your stocks, putting it in different types of securities, and packing that there and nurturing that tree and ensuring that that tree is growing so that when you walk out of your active source of income, you have a tree that you would have nurtured and it would have grown. And we are youths. The beauty of it is that we have a bit of time. That tree can actually grow, that tree can be watered. You can throw in your 1,000 kwacha, your 500 kwacha on a monthly basis. That tree will be growing. And eventually that tree will belong to you and you'll be able to access the fruits then you can go to your chill spots. Thank you.
Winston, I think you muted.
Okay, yeah. So I think time is trying to play tricks on me right now, trying to close me down before we get to actually close the conversation. But hey, Lina, one of the things that I'd like us to just delve into as we get to wrap up our conversation quickly due to the interest of time. I know there are other things that you guys need to attend to. You're the right people to speak to after all when it comes to investments on the Lucia platform. So I don't intend to hold you that long. But what is the Lucia doing to increase knowledge around the stock market? Now, when I say around the stock market, obviously there are efforts. We've got people in the informal sector, we've got people in all these different setups and groupings all together. And I feel this is also an important question that people must be able to, learn from, so that they can even take part in some of the activities that you're doing to be able to just create that sensitization.
Yep, that's good. Thanks, Winston. I think one of the key things, one of the key things I think we have done is try to now sort of get our focus as the exchange on education and research and all that stuff, because an informed investor is a powerful one. So I know everybody wants to make the money, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Everybody wants to grow their wealth. Everybody wants to do these things, but you need information. You need to know. So that's one of the key things we're trying to do. We're trying to work on more of, okay, how can we sensitize the public, as you said, as the question has highlighted. One of the key ones is go back to our learning system, schools. Start from the bottom. What we have found is we've had maybe a chunk or generation which went through school but missed out on capital markets. It will cause problems in the future, because we need to know about all facets of the financial sector, not just going to a bank and the like. So what we've done is that I think Philip is on who mentioned it. We've launched a campaign called Teach 1,000 Learners. The idea is we are going to schools, and we are going to have schools apply actually through our website if they want us the best time now. It's early. So it gives that opportunity to the younger people to start early. We started our campaign, and Philip mentioned a little bit on the how we've gone to a few schools now. It's actually 3 universities, 1 school. We only launched it like less than a month ago. We are now stretching our hands and feet to go to different schools. So we have spoken to students. Probably by now we've now spoken to about 500, and each time we go there, we go with the ribbon, asking them, say, tell us what you've learned today, but also tell us who are you going to tell this to? Who are you going to impact with this information? Don't keep this information to yourself. Who are you going to tell? Who are you going to refer to? Say, oh, there are companies who are listed here. These are companies we can invest in. Oh, if we need more information, we can go to the Lucia, we can go to a broker, that sort of information. So we are very excited about it, and we think it will have great impact in terms of future generations as well. People will now have an understanding of the stock market. It's never too late to learn. You can even learn when you're 80, there's no problem. but it's better to learn while you're younger as well, because then you can implement a lot of these things that we're talking about. So one of the things is teach 1,000 learners. The other thing is that we've obviously tried to make the market a lot more accessible in terms of people being able to access the market through an application. And as we talked, and as we mentioned, we also want to make sure that we begin to get like the e-learning platform up and going. That way people have information at their fingertips. That's something which is in the works. I know the team in the background is working to create that platform. So you can access, or if I want to know what a share is, or if I want to know, what a buy is, what a sell order is, if I want to know what volume means, if I want to know all those technical terms, if I want to know them, I can go to the e-learning platform and I can learn from there. So it's something which we are very passionate about. It's in the works and it's coming soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. That's a big one because that'll change the way we interact with the stock market. It will change the way we deal with the stock market. Then finally, we are using other avenues besides social media and the mentioned accounts which we use, which are Luce accounts. There are other places which we ensure that this information is being disseminated. So whether you see news platforms on closing prices, whether there's a program which happens where every week on a Monday, we go to Millennium TV just to disseminate different terms. We go through the week, what the week has looked like in the market, then we go through certain terms, things we should understand in the market, all those things. That's a form of learning. So there's a lot happening. There's plenty happening. A lot of people will say, no, it seems too quiet. There's a lot of work being done. And we still have a lot more to do. We're not letting up. There's still a lot more to do, but we would like you to be on the journey with us, learn with us. This particular platform is one of the ways in which we're doing it. So please stick with us, learn with us, ask questions. I'm sure after this webinar is concluded, all the questions you've asked, we'll address them as we go one by one so that you can have answers to your questions. Whitson, I think that's my summary.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lena, for that wonderful summary. Quickly, ladies and gentlemen, as we get to wrap up our conversation, Peter, your final remarks to our followers and viewers in less than a minute. Peter, are you able to hear me? Okay, so as Peter's getting ready, I think we can quickly go to Philip. I know people from finance don't talk too much. They know how to count the money. So, so just your final thoughts as we get to wrap up our conversation, I think in a minute.
Sure, Whitson. My final words, just start early. Start early, start investing early, and do not be discouraged if you do not know much. Remember that everyone starts at the same ground, then climb the ladder, so to say. So start early, build that curiosity around the market, increase your appetite for the capital markets, and increase your financial IQ overall. That will help you to diversify your portfolio and help you earn income from multiple places. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kenneth, your final remarks in a minute.
Thank you, Aston. Yeah, I think my final remarks to thank everybody who has stayed with us till this time. We like Lena said, we take we're working around the clock to ensure that we have our clients satisfied, right? We spoke a lot about scammers. Think before you follow. We have to be aware to all those facts to say, look, there are a lot of scammers, there are a lot of hackers, and I think mine is just to assure, the investors out there to say, look, your portfolios are safe, your investments are safe. The Lucy has been alive to this, and we've made a lot of investments over time to ensure to say, look, our investors are safe and their money is safe, and legal does not pounce on us as well. So mine is just to thank everyone and just to ensure to give them assurance to say, look, your investments are safe. You may not access your investments maybe at the tip of your finger as you expect at the moment, right? But be rest assured to say, look, if you have any issues, call the LUCE. The LUCE will be able to assist you and give you that comfort and even give you that evidence to say, look, here are your investments, your money is safe, your future is secure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Council, over to you in less than a minute, your final remarks.
Thank you so much, Wenson. My final remarks is, as we just commemorated our Youth Day last week, I would just like to encourage the youth to grow their money, still sticking to the tree illustration. Come and grow your money on the LUCE and you will not regret it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know if I have Peter here. Okay, anyway, I'll give the final remarks on behalf of Peter. Guys, thank you very much for taking the time to interact with everyone that was joining us on our Facebook page. That is the Lusaka Securities Exchange, where this interaction was streaming live. And I know that there are so many questions that were posted on that particular platform, and I want to confidently assure each and every one of you that those questions will be attended to by LUCE. Follow-ups will be made, answers will be given. If it's advice that you're looking for, you will definitely be attended to. I just wanted to give that assurance, very, very well, that please don't think we just ignored. Those questions and comments and contributions have been taken note of. And my key takeaways from this interaction basically for me is that before you invest your money, invest in knowledge. An informed investor is a powerful investor. You heard, for you as a young person, it's important that you take time to invest your money. And remember, nothing worthwhile, materializes or yields results faster. Going to Council's illustration of a tree takes time to grow. So be patient. If that money is going to grow, exercise some patience. And I love what Kenneth mentioned. What people don't know, they cannot simply harm. So make your money in silence, enjoy it peacefully, and do your thing. And remember, this is the Financial Literacy Week. Look out for important activities that the Lusaka Securities Exchange PLC will be involved in and taking part, and also orchestrating with regards to financial literacy for you to be able to benefit from other information that is relevant for you as an investor on the capital markets. So make sure you follow and stay glued to the Lusaka Securities Exchange Facebook page, where a lot of these activities will be posted so that you are in touch. It could be even just other developments that are taking place that may be relevant for you within the capital markets. Please make sure you hit that like button. From me, Wenson Mavoro, thank you for joining us. See you next time, and thank you for your wonderful interactions.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.